Yeah, sure.
Hello viewers, we are back. The topic is so interesting कि हम लोगों को ना जाने की इच्छा ही नहीं हो रही है. Questions बहुत सारे हैं. मेरा लास्ट क्वेश्चन ये है कि ये जो मोनेटाइजेशन हो रहा है इसमें डेटा मैनेजमेंट भी आएगा. एंड हमारे देश में डेटा मैनेजमेंट का हम देख रहे हैं कि एक दे आर ट्राइंग टू bring in laws to see to it that data which is obtained cannot be manipulated. So how do you see the picture? What is going to happen to the data management? Because more business, more necessity of data. Yeah, please, Rakesh.
Shall I, Shinji? See, I think data management is a global thing. Whatever best practices globally people adopt, I think that would come in. In this business, data, I mean, if you look at the national monetization policy, pipeline, and all that stuff, the kind of data is whatever data. For example, have you been not managing Aadhaar very well? It's one of the most successful data management projects anywhere on the planet. So, if you look at that kind of requirement, the skills are there, but the law as such, you said, is actually India is going to herald a new data protection law, which probably is unique, and the contours of it need to be evaluated. But all said and done, it's not going to be anti-people. It's going to be pro-citizen. It's probably going to bring in some monetization means for using my data. So these are some good things. Don't forget, these data management policies are run by committees of experts, and some of those are headed by Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Tejasvi Surya, not necessarily the Congress guys. Whenever you see on committee Congress guys, you need to be scared. Anybody else, you can be assured that they are going to be doing good to the country.
Yeah, because like last time we saw Cambridge Analytica took the data from Facebook and all that. So that becomes a big question mark. Yes, Kishore.
Okay. Now that you will have this data localization policy, which is already there and which is being worked out. So I don't think protecting data should be too much of an issue if you look at it. I mean, okay, even if you try to understand what is the kind of data that you would be, first and foremost, we'll have to look at what is the kind of data that would be stored or let's say accessed in all of these assets, right? So when you're talking about leasing these properties out. So first one is obviously your toll collection data, your traffic data. And then second one would be your ticketing data for, let's say, railways. The third one would be consumer data when it comes to, let's say, transmission lines. The fourth one would be, let's say, the traffic data at ports. So the tonnage of cargo which comes in and all of that. So, like Rakesh said, there is a proper data policy which is being data management and localization policy which is actually being worked out, and I think all of this data would be stored locally and would be available for the access of, let's say, the country. I mean the government and let's say the other regulatory agencies. I wouldn't say that there are no concerns surrounding that. There are a lot of concerns because all of this is strategic in nature, right? Slicing and dicing data and presenting it, or let's say consuming it in whichever way possible, would help a lot of our competing countries or competing other players as well. Let's say if you're talking about a port management company like Dubai Port and all of them, they're trying to they would have the competitors who would want to access whatever port data that they have. So yes, managing data is a issue, not issue, it's a concern. But I'm sure. I mean, we will actually cross that once once we get to the place, right? It's like we will cross it once we get there. As of now, it's slightly we will actually work with the existing data localization policy, and then we will actually look at it as we sign those contracts and then the leases and all of that. So yes, it is a point of concern, but the modalities we'll have to wait and see how it pans out, right? So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yes, Natarajan ji.
I had one point or the question to Randeep ji. In terms of there is a bit of a question in the minds that the assets that are being used by the private sector entities, assets can be stripped off during the course of the use and then given back in a not in a good condition, though there will be conditions to protect the value of the assets. But do you think it is a fair enough belief that we need to protect our assets being stripped off, or what is your take on this, Randeep ji?
Yes. So I think my view, and I'm sure government's view is very clear on that. That you would not want your assets to get devalued, over a period of time. So that is fairly clear. And I'm sure, as we get into the details, as we get into, developing the contracts, all that would be taken care of. I mean,
Mhm.
it is. Uh, uh, you can say it is only natural that whatever assets give out on these, we need to ensure that they don't get devalued. And the point is, why are we giving out these lease? It is primarily to generate value out of them. So right now, while they may have value, but it is dormant. It is underutilized,
Right.
or actually not utilized. So we are trying to. So even if you see right now, what is their value? Actually, it is nil. So where is the question of devaluing when already the value is
Hmm.
nil? So I mean, I look at it from that perspective. That we are only looking at enhancing their value and generating income, or generating revenues from them, so that it can be utilized for nation building. So I mean, that would be my short.
Okay.
Kishore wanted. I think he raised his finger. Yes, Kishore.
Yeah. So just to add on to whatever Randeep has actually said over here. So the asset trip, the stripping, by stripping, what the concern that Chidambaram has actually raised over here is essentially what happens is that you lease out your property and then company goes bankrupt. I mean, the leased out company actually goes bankrupt, and then the value of your property erodes. And then what you do is that now you have IBC, and then you can bid for that property at a much lower value and then acquire it. Or let's say sell it off piece. Let's say you have a 500-kilometer toll road, and then you leased it out to, let's say, company A, and then the company A actually goes bankrupt, and then what do you do with this asset? I mean, do you actually sell it back to the government, or sell the lease time period to the government, or let's say asset that has already been built over there? What do you do with it? I mean, do you actually sell it off to other private players? And what if the company A purposely, purposely due to malpractice, tries to bid for the same assets through another company? So these are the types of concerns that the former FM is looking to raise. But again, like I said, all these are risks which are inherent in, let's say, any monetization plan. So definitely this is inherent in this plan as well. So, but now that you have IBC, I think most of these plans most of these concerns would be ironed out as we get along with this monetization, right? So it's too early in the day to be thinking about all of this. Yes, regulations around this should, but I'm not really sure if this is exactly a deal-breaking sort of a concern over here. But
Okay.
yeah, let's wait and see.
Okay. Randeep ji, then Rakesh ji. Yeah.
Yeah, and just on this point of a company going bankrupt. See, while Koji rightly said, we have the IBC, but the point is, so to take care of that, so IBC can take care of. The point is, it's slightly different from the normal corporation, because here we are talking about assets which have which are going to generate value perennially, irrespective. The company may go bankrupt, but the value, the asset will continue to have value. For example, toll. The toll company may go bankrupt, but the point is the toll will get generated even if the company is not there, because the traffic is not going to slow down.
Right.
Traffic is not going.
Right.
Traffic is only going to go up. So the value of the asset is not going to go down. That is the point. Those are the kind of assets we are looking at leasing up. So I think the point again, I go back to the earlier point which I made, which is that they are trying to find the devil in the details, and actually they are being insincere, if I may say. Not that Chidambaram doesn't know all these things. I mean, they know all these things. They probably know it, but it is just to create confusion in the minds of the public, to create panic, to create confusion. That's why they are doing all this. So that's basically the broader point on this.
Yes, Rakesh.
Two more things. I think the assets are not owned by the investors. That's a very important point. So you cannot have any claim on anything which you don't own. One. Second, you are bringing your own money. So I would be the most foolish investor in the world to bring in my own money, go bankrupt, and then fight a case. So these are the two things. And I'll give you an example. Let's take a railway. Let's take a railway line. A railway line is being rented to private operators in this financial and in this asset monetization plan. So when I have a track, every 4 minutes the track is being used by Indian Railways. In between the gaps, I'm allowing you to run your train. Now you tell me what kind of asset I will take and run away. So this is a very typical contract with two different companies. I borrow something from United States to be worked in America, to be worked in India for cost arbitrage. What will I do? I will only mess it up, or I will not do the work. Right? So I think that fear is unfounded. It's not like most people are valuing this from the typical contractual agreements, like I give away something. See, I'm creating a story of I own something, I am giving it to you. This is not privatization. This is just renting. A very high-end renting.
True. I don't know. I'm actually speechless, and I really love the discussion today. And
I have.
Yeah, please.
Ishaji,
Please.
I have one
Please.
more question. This is to Kishore and Rakesh in the especially Kishore's area of operation. Over a period of time, I'm for one moment, I'm totally bullish on India, the India story, despite all the faults. It's going to move on. I know that. Okay. Now the question to me is, let's assume that 2 years down the road, things have, the devil in the details have been found. Things have started rolling on, and the infrastructure is, really being monetized the way it should be, even 80%, so to say. What do you think? What do you think will be the impact on the stock market? Do you expect the stock market to take a calculated move, and with weightage of the stocks from this sector to have an impact on the Sensex or the Nifty? Just of the as the discussion progressed, this question came up in my mind.
Okay. So let me just ask the question, right? So what your question is, what is the impact of this monetization on the stock market, right? So if you're talking about a few listed companies who get get the license to run these properties, I mean, what is the kind of value that they will add? That is a question, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Let me tell you something. I mean, it's very, very difficult to actually give you an exact impact that this will have on the market. But I mean, it will definitely have a positive impact. Is what I'm trying to say. So you're looking at, let's say, 6 lakh crores that the government would raise through this, right? So, and 6 lakh crores would actually become more like a okay. The broader thing over here is that this is called as capital recycling, essentially. So what you're doing over here is, let's say you've already built up your asset, something that's generating some sort of revenue, or it is under, and you are to someone, and then you are generating essentially for 15 years, and then you are reinvesting this capital to build a fresh asset. So what happens over here is, let's say if you're building a fresh asset, you would be awarding contracts to, let's say, infrastructure companies like L&T, or let's say other road road development companies like ANR Infrastructure and things like that. So what happens over here is you are awarding contracts, and then those companies and their earnings and profit margins are bound to improve, provided they actually do a good job of it. So those companies in turn would actually have a positive impact on Sensex and all of that. So in a way, the 6 lakh crores, and usually infrastructure project, in a way, the 6 lakh crores actually adds to your GDP and the economy, and creates top line and bottom line for all the infrastructure companies as well. So if you're talking about 6 lakh crores, right? If the government actually manages to raise 6 lakh crores over the next 4 years, and all infrastructure projects happen through leverage borrowing. So at least 1:1, at least I'm talking about. Even if you assume that it is more than 1:2, then what happens is that you're talking about 6 lakh crores of equity that the government is going to put into projects, and then you have another 12 lakh crores which the government would actually borrow. So you're talking about 18 lakh crores which will get added over the next 4 years to the GDP itself. And imagine those 18 lakh crores is actually going to go as a top line to any of the infrastructure building companies. Could be L&T, could be any road developer, could be, let's say, an oil and gas company, could be power, it could be, let's say, NTPC, it could be any of the power generators or any of the power transmission companies. So all of this actually adds into their top line and then finally to the bottom line. So all of this would have an impact on Sensex. So this is definitely positive for the market. And as an investor, we are in the largest of all the bull runs.
Oh yes.
India, right? So you should be invested in the markets. So I mean, if you're bullish about the India story, you should be invested. That's it. So I mean, there is no point in being in India and then not investing in the equity markets, and let's say going to let's say banks for 5% FD rates. So not a judicious thing to actually. So all of this would add to the Sensex and Nifty and whichever you want.
Okay, Randeep ji.
Just one line. Any privatization move has a positive impact on the market.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Look at the history. You look at our history of markets. Any privatization move, right from liberalization to today, it has a positive impact on the markets. Primarily because all the reasons
Yeah. I'll add a little.
Yeah, please, Taki.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I look at it this way. The money is coming from the sovereign funds, wealth funds, infrastructure funds, which have evaluated and graded Indian market as top rating, one. Second, this is going to improve the efficiency, and market also likes efficient operators, right? Third,
Absolutely.
at this stage of flux and pandemic, the best of the countries and the economies in the world are printing cash. Direct monetization increases inflation. We are probably one of the largest economies which are thinking of asset monetization, which is very positive. So the positive balance sheet of India will actually reflect into the stock markets, which is a very puny part of it. So I think overall, if you look at the bond markets and the infrastructure markets on the European exchanges and others, they're very, very bullish on anything India. Because the interest rates here are very high, so they go very long. I think it's going to be improving, and apart from the operational expertise and improvements of top lines, naturally, yes, these scripts will easily see the blue.
In addition to what Randeep said, when I was reading about this, I came across the case of Hindustan Zinc Limited, which was divested with I think now 35% with the government of India still, and government of India sold the majority of the stock for about 700 crores odd. either 650 crores or 750 crores, somewhere in that range. And now the valuation of the company is well beyond 5,000 crores as of date. Okay, so that is a value that it has generated, a company that was sold by the government. So from my perspective, I think let the good times roll in.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what
One last
I would like to say. Yes, sir. Rakesh
One
ji.
last line. I think the biggest problem here is this is an instrument to make Congress Bharat Mukt, really, because it takes away the political decision making ability of disinvestment, privatization, and brings in
Yes.
financial experts into the play. That is what they don't want.
Yeah. I would like to add by thanking you all. I'm very sorry Dada could not join us. I don't know, might be because it's raining over there. He had already told us that it is raining and it may be a problem for him. Anyway, thank you everyone. Dada, thank you. You're not here, but still, मैं एक चीज बोल के खत्म करना चाहती हूँ कि जिनको इस पॉलिसी से, हर पॉलिसी से तो दिक्कत है ही हमारे ऑपोजिशन को. हमारा ऑपोजिशन आजकल मतलब फ्रेम करके रखने लायक ऑपोजिशन है. एंड उनको दिक्कत है ना, तो उनकी खुद की स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स है ना, तो अपने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स में वो लीड बाय एग्जांपल कर सकते हैं. वो लोग अपने स्टेट में लागू करें ना और सिखा दे भाई कैसे कर सकते हैं, कैसे नहीं कर सकते, ये दूसरे को सिखा दे इंस्टेड ऑफ सिटिंग एंड क्रिबिंग. मैंने पहले भी बोला है, इंडियंस लव टू क्रिब अबाउट एवरीथिंग. तो माय टेक इज जस्ट दिस, प्लीज अपने अपने स्टेट पे करिए. एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से बहुत अच्छे थिंक टैंक कर रहा है. आप लोगों को जैसा तो कोई है ही नहीं. आप लोग इसको सक्सेसफुल करके दिखा दीजिए, देश के लिए कुछ कर दीजिए. एंड विद दैट आई विल एंड. थैंक यू व्यूअर्स. इफ यू लाइक इट प्लीज शेयर इट एंड सब्सक्राइब. एंड मैं एक चीज चाहती हूँ कि आप लोग ना कमेंट्स पे जरूर कुछ आपके विचार लिखिए, तो हम लोगों को भी पता चलेगा कि हम लोग कहाँ ठीक गए एंड कहाँ गलत गए. तो विद दैट आई विल एंड. शुभ रात्रि.
Thank you.